Hey team, welcome back to another incredible episode of the Intentional Agribusiness Leader podcast. This is your host, Mark Jewell, and today I'm joined by my friend Dean Harder from Carmel, Indiana. Dean, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks so much, Mark. Great to be here, buddy.
Super excited. Been following you in the background since my early FFA days in the late 90s, which was following up on yours from the late 80s. So been kind of a legend in my world since way back then. Excited to have you on, but you get the same opening question that everybody does, which is, what does it mean for you to be intentional?
Man, I appreciate the question, Mark, and really glad to be here with you. Intentional, the first word that comes to mind is purposeful. Without purpose, it's hard to be intentional. And when it comes to being purposeful, it's being decisive and focused and defining what that actually is. So to me, intentionality is all around defining purpose.
I love it, man. Where does purpose come from for you?
So it actually resonates from I've been doing a lot of entrepreneurial things all my life, but one of the areas I've spent the last nearly 30 years in is helping people spend and enjoy their money. I'm not a financial advisor in the sense of managing people's wealth and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually come alongside people and help them spend and enjoy it. And at one point in time, this is just a simple, easy example, because most people that are listening to us today on the podcast know what a 401k is. Right. So I'm just using this to answer the question on purpose. Mm-hmm. Mark, what's the purpose of a 401k?
Have some retirement accounts, some savings, some security later in life.
Okay, you're on the right track.
Yep.
But more specifically, what's the purpose of a 401k?
To have to defer my tax, some tax savings till later on, right?
Yeah. That's definitely one of the attributes of it. What's the purpose of it?
Oh, now you've got me.
Okay. Do you believe that most people that put money into 401k have a desire to retire someday?
I would imagine so, yeah.
Yeah, most people do. The purpose of a 401k is to become a stream of income when you decide you don't want to get out of bed and earn a paycheck anymore.
Right.
So the purpose of a 401k is to create income.
Beautiful.
How do you create income from it? My point in that is everything you answered is correct in that that's what it is and that's some of what it does, but that's not its purpose.
Right. The purpose is there to make sure that I can take that time, sleep in when I want to, make sure that I can enjoy my life at a stage when I don't want to get up and go to work anymore.
Because you have a stream of income along with other streams of income that allow you to not get out of bed to have to earn the stream of income.
That's cool.
That's an example of purpose.
You bet. Yeah, I like that. I don't think people think deep enough about that. I know I don't.
Well, it's interesting. I was challenged throughout my life. There are things I learned about, and I always thought them to be true. And it was 28 years ago. I was talking to a gentleman. I was actually at a conference in Orlando, Florida. And he introduced me to what he called at the time, there couldn't be other names for this, the 4 quadrants of knowledge. 4 quadrants of knowledge. Okay. And it's very simple. Things you know.
Sure.
You know my name is Dean. Yeah. Things you don't know. You don't know what my high school weight was when I graduated from high school. You have no idea. We've never had that conversation. And if you did know, that'd be weird. And I don't, okay. But there are things you don't know. There are things you don't know. When you run into somebody 10 years down the road and you start talking and you realize you were at the same conference one year and you sat at the same table, like, oh my gosh, that's an example of things you don't know. Sure. I actually do know you. Yep. The biggest quadrant of all knowledge is the 4th. Things you don't know.
Yeah.
If you let that settle in for a moment, that's the area of knowledge we all ought to be trying to pursue. And the only way we can do that is through collaboration, conversation. And so this idea around even the definition of purpose or the impact of understanding what purpose, that was a result of me believing something to be true, and it wasn't true because I had the wrong definition for something.
Right.
How's that hit you?
It hits me square between the eyes, actually. because as you're describing, as you're thinking or talking about the fourth quadrant, right? I'm sitting over here thinking, that's one of the reasons I do this show. This is about the 200th interview, maybe 201, maybe 202, but it's right around that ballpark area. So
Hmm.
I've sat here for at least an hour, so for at least 200 hours talking to people like you, learning new things. It's one of the biggest benefits. I'm the
Yeah.
only one who's been on every episode, and so I've been here for every conversation. And I have learned a lot of things that I don't know that I know, or things that I don't know that I don't know, and confirmations of things that I do know, but now
Yeah.
somebody else agrees with me, and all these things, and so it really. Uh, I'm at a stage in life where I'm really much more interested in the things that I don't know that I don't know,
Hmm.
because I've been pretty good at being able to compensate with the other three quadrants. And as an example, I gave up alcohol a year ago just to see,
I saw that on your post. That's awesome.
yeah, like who do you become? And I'm just like, I grew up like most kids in central Minnesota, drinking since we were 12 or 13 years old, right? Maybe not at high levels, but it was like, you were just exposed to it. It was
Yeah.
a normal part of life, and it was kind of a rite of passage, if you will, for a lot of us, right? And I was sitting there on December 31st, the morning of 2024, and thinking, like, you know what? Like, I know what's back that way. I know what it's like to be wasting time or not showing up as effective every day because I chose
Hmm.
to have a glass or two of wine at dinner last night. This wasn't
Hmm.
like I had a drinking problem or would, like really need to go check myself into rehab. I just realized what I know for sure, what I know that I know is that
Hmm.
I'm not as effective
Hmm.
every morning as I could be because I'm sitting down with my Italian wife who can drink as much wine as she wants and feel just fine the next day, right? But I don't.
Sure.
And so
Sure.
I know that that's true for me. So I said, you know what? I'm interested in figuring out, like, who would I be? What don't I know about myself and my capacity and my capability? And what I've discovered now in the last year that I now know is I like myself more. I feel better. I'm more focused. I get more done. I'm
Hmm.
happier, and nobody cares that I quit drinking.
Hmm.
I mean, that's
Love
the
it.
stuff I'm interested. That's the stuff I'm into these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well,
What?
you guys, I want you to get to know Dean just a little bit before we get too deep into this, because it's already a great. We could stop the episode here, and it's already like perfect. You guys got what you came for, but I do want to welcome Dean. Man, back in 1976, Dean fell in love with communication, preparing and giving oral reasons to a livestock judge, and it was an exhilarating experience for him, even as a 10-year-old kid growing up on a corn and soybean farm with a commercial turkey growing operation. I grew up in turkey country too, in central Minnesota too.
Yeah.
As a graduate from the University of Minnesota with a degree in agriculture education and emphasis in economics, Dean ended up pursuing an entrepreneurial life off the farm. His best-selling book, Stop Pitching, was published in 2022, and it gives you a direct line into his communication philosophy. He and his wife of 35 plus years split their time between their home in Indiana and their home in Fort Myers, Florida. And their three adult married children all live in the Indianapolis area, where you're going to hear Papa chasing after his 7 grandkids. So I just want to say welcome to Dean. Thanks for being on. I wanted to make sure we hit that intro because it's great, and you've got a great resource to share with people today. So I'm excited to get that out in front of them. But thank you for
Thanks,
being
Maury.
here.
It's
Yeah.
a pleasure.
Yeah. So interesting enough. So I also grew up picking up dead turkeys, man, like a lot of them. So my dad was a trapper. That was the original thing in the 80s.
Okay.
My dad was a fur trader and trapper. We raised fox, like a cow calf herd. That was
Oh,
what my
wow.
very first job was, working in that operation when I was 4, 5, 6 years old. And the fur industry went under in the late 80s, and we ended up having to get out of it. But he was locally known as the trapper guy. I mean, a guy who could catch
Hmm.
anything. And so occasionally an owl would get into a turkey barn, and it would
Yeah.
cause turkeys to pile up on one another and you could kill a whole barn full of turkeys in one night. And so he would get paid to trap the owls.
Hmm.
We would get paid in turkey. And my reward is I had to go pick these damn things up.
Oh, that's
So
fantastic.
Anyway, subsistence farming back in the 80s was a pretty big thing for a lot of us. So, um,
I'm glad there's not an owl behind me. Rather,
I,
it's a
I
blue
know,
heron.
no kidding. A little bit of a trigger, but we also have the same degree from the same school. So I'm just like
Hmm.
10 years behind you, I think, and 10 or 12 years
Hmm.
behind in the university. So University of Minnesota, ag ed degree, and the focus in economics, and I focused in human resources. So
Awesome.
very cool. Yeah. Give us a little snapshot into the last, into the career and what you've done. It says entrepreneurial ventures. Share with us a little bit about your expertise and how that led you to the book.
Sure. Um, so the last 29 years or so, I've been in the financial services industry, but I've
Hmm.
been as a guy doing some unique things with the distribution of wealth, the enjoyment of wealth, frankly, not the creation and building of it. So that's
Hmm.
been a mainstay all those years. But through that, I've also done a tremendous amount of speaking. The book, which we'll talk about here in a minute as well, the book was a result of wanting to capture the philosophy I've developed over the years, much of which has been learned from other people, some of which has been my own little um, creation of putting together some frameworks and some ways to interact in a very positive way, a back and forth positive way. But the entrepreneurial is also we developed the first set of wind farms in Cottonwood County, my home county in Minnesota, back in 2000. Now today there's hundreds of wind turbines. We put the first 12 up.
Wow.
We did another project like that. I've been doing the data center thing now. That's the hot thing, but I got into that long before it really became something. And so I've always had this interest in trying to discover. It's not like I've invented any of this, but
Yeah.
try to get on the very, very, very front end of things. And then the other entrepreneurial part is just um, doing a lot of things that I don't get paid for. I think that's
Hmm.
one of the areas of opportunity in life is to go out, make a difference in your house, in your home, in your neighborhood, in your community, your state, your
Hmm.
world, whatever you want to say. And so I'm a very active, still very active in a lot of different areas, many of which I intentionally keep under the radar because
Hmm.
they're either sensitive areas in people's lives or even my own life, or they're just things, you know what, I just want to be under the radar. So I don't like to always put things out there.
Hmm.
Not hiding
Yeah.
anything. It's just, there's a
Right.
lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's more than enough going on. So very interesting, man. So we talked a little bit off the mic about the book. The book you guys is called Stop Pitching, and I really love this as a salesperson, as somebody who gets out here and is having a lot of conversations. Right, it talks about the role of conversations, and
Mhm.
so I mean, if I'm thinking about picking up the book, what's going to be one of my key takeaways, Dean?
Yeah. Well, as we shared offline, the message in the book is where relationships matter, so too do conversations. And it's
Mm,
written for somebody that's in the world of sales.
yeah.
Interestingly, I get pinged. I get pinged. I have a website that people can ping. There's a phone number in the book that comes to me directly. It's not my personal cell number, but there's
Sure.
a number in there that comes to me. And I'm shocked at the number of people that have read the book that are in education.
Hmm.
I've had parents like they've applied this to their parenting. So it
Cool.
doesn't matter. It's the skills and the frameworks and so forth are transferable, Mark, to whatever. But when it
Yeah.
comes to the world of sales, it's helpful to define stop pitching. So what do we mean by that?
Yeah.
So the easiest way to define pitching in the concept of the book is that's a person that starts from the inside and works out. And I'll
Hmm.
share the alternative to pitching in a moment. That means, hey, Mark, this is Dean Harder. I do X, Y, and Z. I want to get together and show you what we do, how we do it, blah, 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 blah. And I sit down with you if you agree to meet with me, and I tell you all about my company. I
Hmm.
show you all the services and all the products and all the things that we do in
Right.
hopes that you go, tell me more about that. Tell me more about this.
Hmm.
And so what I'm doing is I'm pitching myself and what I do. That makes
Yeah.
sense?
100%.
Okay.
It's like the antithesis of everything that we teach
Yeah. Right.
in our training. So
Yeah. No. Right.
yeah,
So the opposite, the
yeah,
term, I didn't coin the term, but the term I choose to use to describe
mhm.
the opposite is conversational selling.
Okay,
So
beautiful.
the original working title of the book was Stop Selling. And I
Mm,
thought to myself, selling's not the problem. It's the
yeah,
pitching, working from the
pitch
inside out.
creation.
So
Yeah.
conversational selling is most easily defined as working from the outside in.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, what do you want? So I'll give you an example because I've been in the financial world for years.
You bet.
I would ask you within 2 minutes of meeting you if you wanted to get together to learn how we help people spend and enjoy their money. That's
Hmm.
how I frame what I do in that space. I
Yeah.
would ask you, hey, Mark, I'm curious. Do you want to retire someday? And you're
Mm.
going to say one of three things. What's the obvious thing you probably will say?
Most people will say yes.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Very few people will say no.
Right.
And the only other response I've ever heard, I've been using this question for 15 years or more, I'm
Yeah.
not sure. To which I will always say, Mark, are you not sure you want to retire? Or are you not sure you can retire?
Mm-hmm.
100% of the time, it's always been, I'm not sure I can retire. Well,
Yeah.
what leads you to say that? I went through a divorce 10 years ago. I
Yeah.
started a business, it flopped. We helped our kids do everything in life. Go to school, we paid for that. We helped them buy their first home, their cars. And we're 10 years from retirement and we don't know if we can because we haven't done anything for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
My point in bringing up the do you want to retire someday? If somebody says I want that, the key word is want. I want,
Mm.
yeah, of course I do.
Yeah.
Now I know what you want, and I can work back into, well, we do some of these things that help people actually live the life you want to live. So if you were retired yesterday, what would you be doing today?
Yeah.
That matters. I need to know all of that. And Mark, if I can't help you, I got to tell you I can't help you.
Right.
But if I can help you, now I get to show you how I help you actually live the life you always dreamed of living. That's
Yeah.
conversational selling.
I love it. It's so good because it's so natural and so smooth. Right. One of my questions that comes up though as you do it, right? You obviously what you do.
I
Like,
do.
you're
I
you're you're in the business of helping people enjoy spending their money, right?
Yeah,
Which is a different
absolutely.
take. Like most people probably getting started in your business, and maybe you were no different way back in the beginning. Is like whatever. I'm a financial advisor, and I help people invest their money or
100%.
something like
Yeah,
that, right? I mean, we all kind of start where we like with the identity
correct.
is a big component of what we do, right?
Hmm.
So if let's just say, I mean, this is an ag focused audience. Let's
Yeah,
say I am, starting out as an agronomy salesperson or a grain buyer or a livestock nutrition salesperson or something like that. Like how let's game this up a little bit. How could we
yeah,
apply the same principle to being an agronomic input provider?
yeah. So I've got friends and clients that are in that space. My brother still operates the family farm in Mountain Lake, Minnesota. So I'm
Yep,
still very tuned into what's going on.
you bet.
Here be an example on an agronomist, reaching out to somebody that could be a potential new client for them,
Hmm.
asking the question, something. The question's different than the retirement one, but it could be as simple as, "Hey, Mark, we've never met before. Looks like you have a farming operation. Um, can you think of any reason why you wouldn't want to get together sometime to share with me some of your experiences with how you make your agronomy decisions? Like,
Hmm.
I'd love to learn how you go about making those decisions and who you lean into and how you do that.
Hmm.
I'd just love to get inside your head.
Yeah.
That might not be the exact way you would do it, but the point I'm trying to get across
Yeah.
is you start by asking them where they're at and how they do something.
Hmm.
I think of it this way: if you and I were playing cards, it'd be a
Yep.
lot easier for me to start laying my cards if you first laid down your cards.
Hmm. Right.
And that's not manipulative. If you suddenly laid down a full house and all I got is a two, a four, a seven, a nine, and a jack, I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know how I can help you. I got nothing here to help you with.
Right.
But if you've got the 2, 4, 7, 9, and a jack, and you think that is how you should be approaching your agronomy decisions,
Mm-hmm.
and I could come back and I could say, Mark, I love what you just shared with me.
Yeah.
I have to share before I answer the rest of it or share the rest of this. There are
Yep.
two elements to influence. So if you want to have influence in anybody's life, just follow these two principles
Yep.
and you'll get influence. You'll be able to be a person of influence. One is focus on the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Don't focus on yourself, focus on the other person. The second is earn the right to proceed.
Mm.
So you share with me what's going on. This is how I go about it. And I say, hey, Mark, do you mind if I make an observation about one of the things you just shared with me? I focused on you and I asked you if it's
Mm.
okay to make an observation. What do most people do? Hey, Mark, I've got something that I see
Mm-hmm.
you're doing. I
Yep.
made it about me and I didn't ask you if I could say anything. I'm telling you
Yeah.
what, that little thing right there, I don't care what kind of sales you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, I noticed you just shared something that I find very interesting. Do you mind if I comment on it?
Yeah. I love that because
Changes
it
everything.
just boom, yeah. Because you're honoring something that they said without making it wrong, without making it may very well be wrong, but you're just saying like, "Hey, I heard something that you said."
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Would you mind if I made a comment or asked a follow up question about that?
Hmm.
Right? Hey, tell me more about why you do that specific process, right, over on that farm.
Yeah,
Now we're in a conversation, right, and it's not confrontational, and it's not making anybody wrong, and nobody has to be defensive.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, I really like that. I also liked in the beginning of the if I'm trying to set the conversation, trying to get the hook in for the initial conversation, you opened up, is there any reason why it wouldn't work for us to sit down and just where I could learn a little bit more about you and your business and your operation, right? That's a very like Chris Voss, never split the difference kind of approach. If you guys have read that book too, but it puts it as like, is there any reason why it wouldn't work? And it's like, and they certainly have the right to say because I don't want to, but I think when you frame it that way, it puts it in a light where yeah, most people want to be useful, helpful, friendly, community focused if you frame the question in the right way. If you go and you say something like, hey Dean, do you have time for me to come out next week and learn?
Right.
Now listen, no, the answer is always no, right? It's never ask them with a yes no, right?
So I have to, I'm chuckling here because it is Chris Voss that I got that from. It
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
from Never Split the Difference, which is one of the top 10 books I've ever read.
100%.
Yeah, it's also where I learned to ask, not to really ask almost always how and what questions. Don't ask why
Hmm.
questions.
Yep.
But what I'm keen in on is we're predisposed to say no, especially a man. Like, do you need some help? Nope, I'm good. Can I help you find something? Nope. And I have no idea what I'm looking for because I'm in a shop for Jackie trying to buy her birthday present because
Hmm.
I'm going home in 2 hours to give it to her because it's her birthday today. Like, yes, I need help, but I'm predisposed to say no. So, tip of the hat to Chris. I'm a big believer too in formulaic phrases. So, one of my formulaic phrases is, hey, Mark, can you think of any reason why you wouldn't want to fill in the blank?
Yeah.
Get together next week. Take a peek at this before we get back together. Um, go ahead and get the paperwork done so you can take advantage of the discount. Can
Yeah.
you think of any reason, Mark, why you wouldn't want to fill in the blank? Now
Yeah.
I'm not searching for words, and I'm using this predisposed notion that we want to say no. But if you have a legitimate reason, I'm
Hmm.
giving you the floor to tell me.
Yep.
Like, Mark, I appreciate this. However, I've got a guy coming this afternoon, and I've been working with him 10 years, and I want to see what he's going to do first. Maybe I'll do this, but And it's okay. We can't feel defeated when somebody doesn't want to work with us. That's just
Yep.
part of it.
Yep. Yeah. So good. What a great, I mean, conversations are really, really where it happens. And I've been over the last 13 years, I've done hundreds of sales trainings, hundreds of days in the field, working with sellers, just observing. And it's really like, it's one of the most challenging behaviors, I think, to get somebody to want to have better conversations and sort of like get over themselves, right? To be a better conversationalist. Even
Totally.
though it's one of the most human things that we do. And if we're just sitting around with our buddies, right, it's easy to have the conversation, but but all of a sudden, when we put selling something into the
Yeah.
context, and my job is salesperson and my livelihood depends on me hunting and killing something, so to speak, right? We start to kind of think about it that way.
Yeah.
Like, what recommendation would you give for somebody who maybe gets stuck? Like, they're listening to this and say, yep, okay, that makes sense. I wish I was a good conversationalist like that guy, right? But the reality is, like, every time I get out there, I freeze, or whatever the case may be. Like, how would you help somebody, or what would you advise somebody to do to kind of get over that?
Beautiful question. Um, Let me set a little context first. Everything starts with mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So the mindset I've had in sales, the last, I would love to tell you, Mark, I went into this career in 1998 with this mindset. I did not, but it was maybe 5, 6, 7 years in where I had a shift. And I'll give a tip of the hat to Zig Ziglar on this one.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably old enough to remember Zig Ziglar. A lot of
Oh yeah,
people on your podcast won't know who Zig is.
I'm old enough to have had tapes of Zig in
Yeah,
my
yeah.
car going to and from work. So.
Well, I was actually fortunate the year I was a national FFA officer. I was I was the national officer that was sent to Zig's 5-day school
Oh, cool.
that Zig
Yep.
taught. So one of Zig's favorite lines and most famous lines is, if you help enough people get to the top, you'll get to the top. If you help enough people get what they want, you'll get
Yeah.
what you want.
Yeah.
That's a mindset. So the very first thing is, if you're making sales calls, go on that call with the idea, I want to help you get what you want. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that begs the question, what do you want? If I don't know what you want, I can't help you get what you want.
Yeah.
That's a mindset. The second thing is preparation. So Kurt Signetti, who
Mm-hmm.
is you of course know Kurt Signetti's name.
He's
He has,
a little bit popular now, but for those that don't follow college football or that, go ahead and fill them in.
yeah, you have to be living in a cave or have nothing to do with college football is right. But he's the head coach of the IU Hoosiers, the Indiana University Hoosiers. My son went there during the not so good football years, but he is the epitome of this. I'll call it blueprint because that's one of the words that's used to describe
Yeah.
what he's done. But he's brought to IU football discipline, standards, preparation, execution, and accountability. And I want to actually focus on the accountability part.
Mm.
Um, you have to have discipline. If you don't come in with discipline, it doesn't matter what the standards are. If you don't have
Mm.
discipline, it doesn't matter, what the preparation is. Because if you don't prepare with discipline, you're not going to execute with discipline. So discipline matters big time. So the standards, the preparation, the execution,
Mm-hmm.
accountability. So here's something I learned about 12 years ago from a coach I was working with at the time. There's two ways to bring about accountability. The first is the most common. I will say to you, hey, Mark, um, I'd like you to be accountable for what you're about to do. So how about we get together once a quarter, and then you tell me if you're hitting these metrics, if you're meeting
Yeah.
the mark. I'm gonna, you send in the sales calls, and I'm gonna look through that, and it feels a lot like I'm looking over your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm
Yeah.
focused in on is what you're doing and how you're doing. Okay.
Yep.
So your actions. I'm wanting to hold you accountable for your actions. That's the amateur way to be to help somebody in an accountability. The the correct way, the healthy way is a better term. The healthy way is you and I agree on results.
Yep.
So you want a certain outcome,
Yeah.
and you agree. Yes, I believe I can deliver this outcome, whether it's a sales
Hmm.
goal or whatever it might be. Doesn't matter if you're selling seeds, chemical, some crop services. Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the role is, and you agree. And now I say, so Mark, you're going to have some short term objectives here in terms of hitting this annual mark. How do you feel? So now I'm asking, putting it back to you.
Hmm.
How do you feel about us getting together once a month to review the results
Hmm.
related to the goal outcome? No, that's fine. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so now, yeah, I'm going to help you be. I'm going to help you develop your skill set to deliver the outcome, but we're focused on the outcome, not on how you're doing it. So we're measuring outcome. Keep in mind, some people are slow starters. Some
Hmm.
people, some people just it takes longer for them to actually learn how to do something. It's not because they're dumb or bad or anything.
Yeah.
It takes
Yeah.
me longer to do a lot of things than it takes my kids to do. They just
You
so
bet.
so the
Mhm.
whole accountability, that's something that IU football has done. Like if you're not going to perform, if you're not
Mhm.
delivering the outcome, we'll put somebody else in.
Yeah.
Now there's no surprises. That's the blueprint. The
Yep.
discipline, the standards, the preparation, the execution, and the accountability.
You bet.
I don't know. How
Yeah.
does that land on you?
Well, it's when I so I want to go back to the first thing that you said is we're thinking about maybe somebody who runs up against that barrier, feeling inexperienced, feeling like they get stuck, in that conversational scenario, that sales scenario, mindset being the most important thing, right? But then I want to tie that to like, so if I actually understand the outcome and we can agree on what the outcome
Yeah.
is, that really helps my mindset a lot because
Yeah.
now I know what I'm shooting for,
Yeah.
right? If we got somebody who's brand new, right, and we just say like the only outcome that I really care about for you in the first 6 months that you work here is that you have at least 10 conversations with someone that you don't know every week. I just say like I'm not saying that's the training program, but let's just say like well that's a
Right.
pretty good leading indicator of someone who if you do that 10 weeks over or ten conversations a week over 25 weeks, that's 250 conversations, Dean. That
Yeah.
person is
That's right.
going to be measurably better at conversations in 6 months than they are on day one,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so we've agreed on it. Is that possible? Is that something you can do? If you said, "Hey, I need you to have 250 conversations in the next, in the next little while," right? And that's your training. Okay, then you're going to get the resistance, right? But can you have 10 a week? That's two a day.
Right.
You want to do them
Right.
all on Monday? I don't care. Like that's fine. You have them all on Monday. That's fine too. Yeah.
I
But
have to jump in and say what you just said there is a golden little nugget you said. If you do it all in Monday
yeah,
and that was the outcome we were after, great.
yeah,
If you do two a day over 5 days, because you're talking 10 a week.
yeah.
I love what you just said. I'll let you pick it back up, but I
Well,
had to
it's
comment. It's awesome.
I just saw this while I was for whatever reason on Instagram this morning, scrolling Instagram. 9 minutes a day reading the Bible will get you through the entire Bible in less than a year, right? But we look at it as this big, like mine's 1,376 pages or something like that.
Yeah.
And it looks, when you think about it, it's intimidating, but it's 9 minutes a day of just sitting and reading it. That's at verbal, like out loud speed. Okay. And so, granted, some of it's pretty meaty and you got to stop and chew on it. But like when you take things like that and break it down into small bite-sized chunks, that's the key. Now, if I'm a new person and I'm going to go ride with Dean today, and Dean's been at this for 30 years, and I'm going
Right.
to go see what he does. This is where we get caught up
Right.
often is I think I need to be like him on my very first conversation. that's the mindset shift. Is like,
Right.
no,
Right.
no, you
No,
don't. You're not.
not at
You
all.
don't have 30 years of experience and like
Right.
well-worn calluses under your hands that where you can take the rejections and the ribbing and the all the things that come along with being in a sales environment. No, like your job right now is just to learn to hold a good conversation with someone. And not all of us grew up in an environment where we had good conversationalists as parents and family, so we just didn't get that skill set.
Right.
But you do
Right.
know something. You know agronomy, or you know farming, or you're passionate about soil, or whatever your thing is, and you got something that you can hold on to there. That's what you start with.
Yeah.
Like,
It
hey, you know what? I'm kind of a soil nerd, and I'm really curious like about the soil types on every farm. Like, would it be crazy for me to ask for just a little bit to stop by and learn about your soil?
I
Let's
love it.
start there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I love
It's
it when we can take something that's like unique to your business and then apply it to other people's
yeah.
businesses, right? And then make it relevant. So,
Well, what's interesting is this is just something I've done all my life. I don't know what to point to say this was the trigger that made it happen. But if I'm
yeah.
talking to a guy that owns a logistics company, all my examples, I can drive a semi because I did on the farm. I can drive a semi,
Hmm.
but I can't work on a diesel engine. I can't like, I mean, I can drive one. That's it.
Right.
But if I'm talking to you and you own a logistics company, all my examples are going to be around logistics,
Hmm.
around a fleet of vehicles, or around, if you're not maintaining those vehicles, or if you're not teaching or training your drivers to actually obey the laws that may have changed.
Yeah.
So the reason I bring this up is if you're a farmer, and I deal with a lot of farmers yet, a lot of people in agriculture or in ag
Hmm.
business, when you can speak in their language, meaning you can use a farrowing barn or a 600 head finishing barn or a 2,000 head finishing barn, and you equate that to some decision they're making that has nothing to do with hog farming,
Yeah.
people connect the dots really quick. But I also want to pick up on something you shared, Mark. We one of the best there's two really good books I've read in the last 8 months. Um, um, Gap, I can't remember the title now. Gap to Gain. It's a Dan Sullivan, Benjamin Hardy book.
Okay. Yeah.
Gap, Gap to Gain, something Gap Gain, and then
Must be in there.
the second one is Who Not How.
Yeah. I
So
love who
they're
not how. Yeah.
yeah, fantastic book. But the Gap to Gain is relevant to what you just shared. We
Mm.
compare ourselves to other people.
Yep.
When's the
Yep.
last time you compared yourself today to Mark yesterday?
Right. Yeah.
And the whole idea around gap to gain is we look at our gap. I'm not like Mark. He's so
Hmm.
much better at doing this. Here's me. Here's Mark. Look at this gap.
Yeah.
No, do this. Here's me today. Here's me tomorrow. Maybe it's even like this tomorrow. Look at what
Hmm.
I've done just in one day. And you do
Just
that every day.
a micro
Yeah.
shift up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Compare yourself to who you were yesterday or last year or 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, big time. And man, it's so good. All by the way, all the Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Harder books are all gold.
Hardy,
Yeah,
Hardy.
Benjamin
Yeah,
Harder. Yeah, no, I got the. I'm struggling with the last names today with this HAR thing, but with what Hardy does when he writes these books, he captures the essence of what of these messages that are really really helpful. So whether it's
yeah,
gap to gain, right, or who not how, which is about like who are the who's in your network that can help you grow your business, like those are the ones, by the way, spend more time having conversations
right,
with the who's in your network. If you're in ag sales, like it's the banker, it's the independent seed distributors, it's the maybe an agronomist in your area who's
right,
independent, like the people who know the people. That's really
right.
important. But then the other piece is this, 10x is easier than 2x
Yeah,
also, which is another
for
one of their
sure.
books. Highly recommend. I share all these just really quick because we have a tool at Momentum now at Momentum Company now called Jericho, and what Jericho is. It's an AI driven system that helps you almost guarantee success if you're willing to just kind of follow the process that's built inside there. But what it does is it dissects your job description, and then you give it a little bit of information, and it actually writes a custom individual development plan just for you. No more cookie cutter, no more everybody gets the same thing. It's just all this. And so what we do is we have a resource library where we take all the books that we talk about on the show, and we put those into the Jericho resource library. So if you're working on sales, if you're working on a related capability to how to do your job better, it will actually put those books in a reading list, and it actually gives you the link straight out to Amazon to where to go buy the book and get it delivered to your house. And then you can check it off and mark that as something that you've done, so that if you ever move on in your career or you want to move up, you actually have a resume of all the books and the podcasts and the YouTube videos that you've listened to or watched, that or articles that you've read,
Hmm.
that you can say, hey, here's the work I've done. And now you can prove the development work that you've done for yourself to grow. And you can
That's
take that
awesome.
with you wherever you go. So anyway, we're going to put stop pitching in the
Love it.
resource library for sure, along with Never Split the Difference by Chris
Yeah.
Voss we talked about today, and all the Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy books. Hardy, did I get that right? Yeah, Hardy.
Already. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Hardy, not harder. We got to get the nomenclature right. Man, Dean, this has been a fun conversation. We're way over time, and I appreciate you sticking past the top of the hour here.
Of
Thank
course.
you for this. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Where do we go to find out more about you and or the book?
DeanHarder.com.
Perfect.
DeanHarder.com will get you there. And if
Nice.
you've heard something today and you're curious about how you apply it to you, I'm always willing. I shared this with Mark offline. I'm more than happy to have a conversation with anybody anytime. No strings attached. Not asking for anything, but if I can be of help to you, all you have to do is reach out to me, and I'm more than happy
Beautiful.
to engage.
Man, thank you for
Thank
being
you.
on.
Thanks, Mark, and best to you and Christine. You guys are doing some great work, not only in the ag space, but it
Mhm.
filters out outside of agriculture. So, congrats to you and all you're doing.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you.